Live soon. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Fear the North podcast. My name is Irie Harris. I am joined by my lovely co hosts, Sapphire and Chris Murray. And we have some special news, a little special edition regarding Mr. Murray, the modern day Renaissance man, Sapphire.
Yes, first of all, we want to, Chris, take a moment to acknowledge that you have been nominated by the Pen and Pencil Club as its Sports Writer of the Year. First, I want to say it doesn't surprise me at all because your articles are phenomenal. I want to say congratulations. And then, Irie, your moment there. That's his
Well,
acknowledgement. That's his acknowledgement. But
yeah,
tell us, tell us, tell us about the Pen and Pencil Club, right? Tell us about who all you're competing against, right? And then share with people where they can vote to nominate you for the award.
Well, I've been nominated. The Pen and Pencil Club is one of the oldest journalism clubs in the country, and it includes everybody from all the mainstream media, black-owned media, all the ethnic-run media, and all that. And we have a little space in downtown Philly on Latimer Street, and it's a place where we gather, exchange stories, and every year they nominate various people. I'm competing against one of my best friends in the business, OJ Spivey, and several people from all over the Inquirer and Daily News, and in that world and whatnot. And there is I'm gonna look on my LinkedIn website and whatnot to give you the exact coordinates of of the website and everything, because and so yeah, you can vote vote in on you can vote in on their website, and I don't have the website in front of me. Oh, but
I can drop the link in our crawler for
yeah, you
people
can
to
drop
see
the
it.
link in there. But this club has existed since 1892. I'm happy to be nominated.
we're proud of you, man. You deserve it.
Thank you. I mean, I did win an award back in 2017 and everything. So if people vote and I win this time, it'll be the second one since 2017. I'm happy to be nominated. There's so many talented people. I would not be mad if some of the other people won, or one of those people won. I would not be mad, because there's a lot of talented people. I'm just humbled to be, nominated and everything, and something that will go, onto my vitae and resume and all that. But sometimes, I'm just happy to be nominated half the time, because, because to be nominated amongst a group of very talented journalists. I mean, to me, a lot of us who do this job, like I read, to me, you're a winner and all these other things. And I'm not saying that as a cliche, but this is a hard job, and we're dealing with people who don't particularly like to talk to us. And in some cases, we all work with editors who can be difficult, and this, that, and the other. So it's a thankless job, and we have to do it on deadline. We have to do it on days when we're not feeling well. So no, I understand. I mean, there's a lot of people like my friend OJ Spivey. There's a couple people from the Inquirer and Daily News that are there, that are being nominated. So I'm happy to be in a group of talented people. If I win, enough people vote for me. If I win, I'll be honored by that too. But I will probably acknowledge all the people who didn't win, and acknowledge the job, because our jobs in this day and age, and not just in sports, but in this day and age, journalism is very important, because, as you know, we have to hold public officials accountable, and that's part of our job. We have to hold those who own teams, who play on teams. We have to hold them accountable. We have to hold governments accountable and all that. So I'm just happy to be a part of what we're doing as journalists and all that, if that makes any sense. But I'm just saying, that's how I feel about it.
Well said, beautifully well said. Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate you and everything that you've been for myself in my life. It's an amazing mentor and OG, and an amazing addition to the show. You are such an important vessel for how these things, the show and the wheels of the show keeps on moving. So thank you, and we appreciate you. We're
I
very proud
appreciate
of
you
you,
guys. I
and,
appreciate both of you.
100%. We congratulate you, and we will get the link up because we already voted, and we hope that you guys as well vote for the lovely Chris Murray. You like that, right? The lovely. I remember.
Yeah. Well, I'm somewhat not as lovely as Sapphire, but but I think of myself more as handsome, well, I wouldn't say rugged, but I consider myself handsome. But no, I appreciate the lovely.
The modern day Renaissance man himself. So yes, congratulations, Chris
Thank you
Murray.
so much. I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you too. And with that being said, welcome everybody once again. We appreciate you all tuning in just for that little quick intro honoring Chris Murray and his accomplishments. What's up, Saf?
I was going to say, in Irie Harris's world, let's ball. Hit it.
I got to be better for him. I didn't feel like I put him in enough good situations this year, ball placement wise. Even the one last night across the middle, I left it behind him, allowed 32 to make a play on it. And again, he can sit there and think about that play over and over, but I got to be better for him. And that's what it comes down to, and getting him, more involved. I know he's been battling throughout the entire year, bumps and bruises, and probably games that he shouldn't have played he was in, but he's a tough sucker, and I got nothing but, again, love for him, how he's approached this year. He's going to be so much better next year. Let his body heal up, and I'm going to be better for him. I promise you that.
Let go. Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Just counting on my wins, so I can't play it safe. Try to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Who can do it better? I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Hey, look, they keep calling me, could you ride this beat? Look proud of me. Okay, it ain't no problem. See, I can mold this thing like pottery. Better I'ma bet on myself. And for the top, and I don't need your help. We set the tempo.
Yeah, we set the tempo, man, every single Tuesday. And I'll be ready to run through a wall when that John be playing. So
Okay.
well done. All right, well, welcome back, beautiful people, and everybody slowly tuning in one by one to this week's edition.
We late. We late as hell. We late, but we're here.
We were on CP time. We will admit that we still have a tendency for that.
Listen, man, I'm down here in Washington, D.C. The way the president is cutting jobs like Tony Soprano and his crew, everybody's going somewhere right now.
Correct. Regarding sports, TV time can also have a tendency when, none of your teams in the division that you cover are in it anymore. Super Bowl 59, the match was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, before we dive further, let me just remind everybody that Mr. Murray here also covers the Philadelphia Eagles with the Philadelphia Sun. So Mr. Chris Murray has been there at these games, covering one by one, behind the scenes, in front and in and around these players and answer questions that we don't even know. So you are there, Chris, for a lot of this in person. If possible, can you just tell us what has it been like being around this team this season? Has there been anything different, any tweaks within mindset or within just approach when talking to you guys ahead of getting ready to go out and dominate the season the way that they have?
Well, one of the things that will always stand out about this season is the fact that it was the offensive line that decided that, look, let's take some of the pressure off the quarterback and run the football. And this is something that I think this formula has worked. Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position, I wanted to talk about him a little bit further. But, he had thrown some interceptions, the running game. They didn't really emphasize the running game to keep the quarterback comfortable. And I think some of the offensive linemen went to Nick Sirianni and they said that we need to run this offense through through Saquon Barkley. They went on a 10-game winning streak and ended up winning 13 of their last 14 games. And I think that's right. If the numbers are correct, it's from week 4 they were 2-2, and
Right.
they ended the season 14-3, which still wasn't the best record in the NFC. With the Lions had that, but I think that this team has come together. Defense. Zach Bond has been a leader in the middle, and before he got hurt in the Kobe Dean, the 2 rookies, Cooper DeJean and also Quinyon Mitchell, was superb. And I know one of the teams. I know they're both on the all rookie team. The defense really also set the tone. They set the tone for the playoffs too, and especially in the first 2 games of the playoffs, the defense came up with the big plays to win games. They forced turnovers, and they did that in this game. They forced 4 turnovers in this game. Well, really, special teams forced the turnovers. Really, 3 by the defense and 1 by special teams. But they played superbly. And Saquon Barkley, I'll say this, even as a Ravens fan, Saquon Barkley was slightly better than Derrick Henry because of his explosiveness. The fact that during this season he has 7 plays, including the playoffs, including the game against the Rams, where he had at least 2 runs of 60 yards or more. He had 7 runs if you date back during the regular year that he had these big explosive runs, and he had about maybe 3 or 4 of them against the Rams alone. And so he was a dominant force in this game, set the tone in the NFC Championship game with a 60-yard run, and it had to be demoralizing for Washington because they moved 18 plays and only came away with a field goal. I think from that point forward, basically, it was almost like landing a knockdown in the first round. The guy gets up, but he's still going to feel the effects of that knockdown throughout the fight. And so in this situation, Washington hung in there for a minute, and then late in the first half, after it was 14-12, the Eagles got a couple of touchdowns, 1 off a turnover, and they pretty much never looked back. After halftime, after they went up 27-12 at the half, they never looked back. They ran the ball. Jalen Hurts passed the ball well past for 246 yards, accounted for 4 touchdowns total, 3 rushing, and he had a big 13-yard run on the second possession where he just ran the ball himself. He played. I mean, once again, this man finds a way to win. He's something like 51-39. I want to double check that. In terms of the games that he's won for this team, he has won a lot of football games. Yes. And I thought this was his best effort in the playoffs, for this year. And remember, I mean, he looked a lot sharper throwing the football. He kind of reminded me of 2022 in the NFC Championship when they beat San Francisco and they almost beat the Chiefs in that Super Bowl. And I think, in my opinion, I think the defense is a lot better than it was, say, 2 years ago. And I think I'll let you know what I think of the outcome of that game. I'm going to tease that a little bit, but I just kind of feel like this team is a lot better. They're much more balanced. I think, when in the last Super Bowl they played against Kansas City, you had those lulls. If you have a Saquon Barkley on the running, they take it out. So,
indeed, thank you, Sapphire. And I know that you have quite a bit to speak on regarding that question, but I do want to ask you because you are in DC, and you were in DC this past week, and when the Eagles had played Washington. Well, what was the feeling out there before and after the game from Washington fans? Because you were in the midst, so you know better than us what the feeling, the atmosphere was like out there.
Oh, yes, I was. And I just got to say, I'm down with my Cleveland Browns, but I am a Philly girl. Y'all know that, right? And so it's hard for me to be objective at this point anymore, gentlemen, because I want my Eagles to win. I'm gonna tell you straight up. And I think they're a team of destiny. But to answer your question, yes, I went up into a place that was thick with Commanders fans, and I was the only one repping Eagles fit. And I wedged myself. I went by myself, by the way, because my own family, they're Commanders fans. I wedged myself in between two at least 6'2", 6'3" dudes. And the first play, when Saquon ripped that 60-yard run, I stood up on my chair and I went like this. And then all of a sudden, from way back in the corner, I started hearing a couple, 2, 3 Eagles fans. That it was such intensity, right? Because as much as Chris, I would agree with you that the Eagles went out, they got the lead, and they never turned around. There was still an energy, right, emitting from Commanders fans. Like they still believed that Jaden Daniels could bring them back, right, and win that game. It was one of the most exciting playoff games that I've watched live and not at the actual game. I thought that Saquon Barkley really proved what he had said earlier in the week, which, and to paraphrase, was that teams can win. They can consistently be victorious with the run. And it's so benign. It's so almost, I'll say, foreign to hear that coming from a player in the NFC that's known more for its sort of like West Coast offensive scheme, drop back pass, or the RPO, all of that. I am old school. As important as having a quarterback who can pass the ball is, to me, the bread and butter of any team that's going to win, and I'm talking about Super Bowl, they have to be able to run the football. That feeds everybody. That makes everything else happen. And it's incredible to see Saquon Barkley, and I love his story. They should make a movie about him. Be an overcomer after being pretty much put out on the curb by the Giants. So it was a great experience for me. And there were free drinks, of course, because the Eagles won. So it was a great game to watch and very economical visit.
Wow.
Well said.
I wish I'd been there for the free drinks.
Yes, flowing. Stuff I've never heard of. Mezcal or whatever that stuff is you young people drink, Irie.
So, regarding moving forward, the matchup yeah.
Oh, and let me do this. Let me put the period at the end of my sentence with this, gentlemen.
I think we need to change our focus. We need to change our approach to all of this. I don't play the game for stats. I don't play the game for numbers, any statistical approval from anyone else. I understand that everyone has a preconceived notion on how they want it to look or how they expect it to look. And I told you guys that winning and success is defined by that particular individual, and it's all relative to the person. And what I define it as is winning. And so, one goal is always to come out here and win.
Incredible. To be so young and so poised and be able to, similar to Jaden Daniels, because this is the new generation of, and I'll say it, Chris, African-American quarterback, intelligent, articulate, well-spoken, well put together, visionary. Like, it's an incredible moment for Jalen Hurts to squash the haters that are still pervasive in his universe, but also be an example to young people in terms of how to conduct yourself, regardless of what the pressure is, regardless of the successes, the failures. He is a great example to young people, and just incredible behind that mic. Incredible.
Well, thank you for that. And real quick, Chris, and before we even dive into the matchups, the intricacies from both sides of what is to come within this game, I only ask it because a lot of people every year are either happy or not happy, or they hate it, or think it's entertaining or boring. What does Fear the North think? Are we happy with the matchup that came out of the playoffs? Are we happy with the Super Bowl matchup? Entertainment wise, intricacy wise, anything. Are you guys pleased with the matchup at hand that came out of this playoff?
Why are you looking at me? Who pressed that button?
Okay.
Well,
Well,
go ahead, Chris. Come on.
I'm not. Well, the thing is, I'm happy with part of the equation. I'm not happy with the AFC side of the question because it makes me kind of shake my head at the Ravens coaches for how they can, because in that loss to Buffalo, and I'm not trying to belabor that point, they moved up and down the field. They just couldn't hang on to the football. And and it kind of like, you're like, dang, if we could have done this, because to be honest with you, I think they beat Kansas City. I know it's crying sour grapes. I know I sound like a bitter Baltimore fan and all that, and I get it, but I think that if they had not turned the ball over and played their game, do a little bit of more RPO runs with Lamar, I think they win that game against that Chiefs defense, and I think they wouldn't have gotten away from it. But it doesn't mean, what I'm saying may not mean anything. But that's how I feel about it, because everybody can say we woulda, shoulda, coulda, and you're at home. Maybe this fires them up next year. Now I'm going to say this though: the Eagles are a better team this time around than they were 2 years ago when we were in Arizona.
I agree with that. They everything about this team, it seems, just from each angle, at least to me as well, seems to be much better. And that's not even so much confident up to them having experience, but it's more so them becoming stronger. I feel within each area, their defense has been better to me, despite the fact that that team in 2022 had 4 players who had double-digit sacks. Despite that, this defense also feels better to me. It feels like not even so much worry about that, but still able to get you within the little angles and different things that really impact the game the way they have, especially within the secondary. The secondary play has been impressive right now. Offensively, the blocking has been terrific for the most part. There was the little skimming within the Rams versus the Rams, which those few sacks were a lot. Outside of that, the blocking, I feel, has been stable. The run game has been enough said. So, yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. Now, regarding the Chiefs, though, because I mentioned the Eagles getting better, the Chiefs have been looking not as strong as they have in recent years, but they're veterans and they know how to win. So that's helped them escape a lot of these games this year, because most of their games have been one-score games. They've come down to the wire, any versus anybody, whether it was the Bengals or even the Bills or the Broncos coming or the Chargers coming down to a field goal. So I mean, we talk about the Eagles seeming to increase their strength. What about the Chiefs? Are they losing their strength, or are they still the same, but just a little wounded in our eyes?
I mean, for me, I think the Chiefs are old in terms of football years. I think they're old. And when I see, and I don't even want to say his name because I know he's from Cleveland Heights. And guys, you know how I am. Okay. So thank you for riding with me on this. Just like that neck thing with Rue Wilson, I'm seeing Pudge with Mr. Kelsey.
Man.
Right. And then I'm seeing him taunt players. For some reason, the referees either left their little yellow handkerchiefs on the sideline when he was doing all of that. But I just see an older Kansas City Chiefs team. Pacheco's been injured this season. They're laying more heavily on Kareem Hunt. He's an older running back. When I think about what the Eagles have in the backfield, their wide receiver, and to the extent, and Chris, maybe you could touch on this, Goddard. Did I pronounce this right? Goddard. They got Calcaterra, I think it is. I feel like they're faster, right? I feel like they have more weapons. I feel like they have a better defense, Chris, which you pointed out, despite injury. I feel like overall, the Eagles are in the best position to win this game, which I am taking the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Separate from that, I will tell you, as a fan, I was so disgusted with the not the play calling, the way that the referees once again inserted themselves in the game to an extent where it impacted, for me, it impacted the momentum. And yes, I will say outcome. And when I and what's his name, Pat McAfee, when we are agreeing, that's an insight. And I want to say that it's just another example to me of just how much of a leader Josh Allen is, because I don't recall that he even really hung his hat on the obvious miscall of that fourth down and not even a yard. I'm just exhausted with that being such a significant factor in the outcome of these Chiefs games. As much as I really enjoy watching Patrick Mahomes, I really do. As much as I really want to see Kareem Hunt get a Super Bowl ring, I really do. I'm just exhausted with this, whatever anybody wants to call that the favor that the Chiefs clearly get in terms of officiating. I just want the Eagles to kick their arse.
And you know what? That's how you beat a team. And I don't think the Chiefs have dominated anybody. And I don't think I think they have basically gotten away with some things. And the way and Sapphire, I like to basically, the eloquent way you said that in terms of kicking their arse, because I think the Eagles have to go in this time. Don't turn the ball over once. Get physical. Although be careful, because if you breathe on Patrick Mahomes, they're going to give you a 15-yard penalty. So from that perspective, I think the Eagles have to get physical early. And you're right, Sapphire. The Eagles have a variety of weapons. They can beat you in the passing game. And not Patrick Mahomes, but Jalen Hurts has a history. He went into Kansas City last year and beat them. He went there and had a tremendous second half comeback. And I think that you're going to see the best of Jalen Hurts as a passer and as a runner. But I think they really need Saquon and them. To really go and beat these guys. The only thing, though, don't get mad if you don't pop a 60-yard run right off the bat. I mean, you got Dallas Goedert, you got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and you got all of these guys. And if they want to bring in Calcaterra a little bit, to spell Dallas Goedert, they can. But I think that what they have to do is that they have to establish, a physical presence in that game, because that's how they beat Washington. And, is you got to take the old Mike Singletary. We're going to be out here all day, baby. We're going to be out here all day.
They don't know nothing about that, Chris. These young kids don't know nothing about Mike Singletary.
Well, but they got to learn. Come on now.
Yeah, that's true.
Y'all, like I said, go on YouTube and watch these guys. There's a certain level of ferocity that you have to play, or even go back to a few years and watch the Legion of Boom. That's what you have to do.
Yeah,
is watch the winners. Remember the Legion of Boom? That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting up there. Listen, I want to send a shout out to Ronan. Ronan, you are on it per usual. Let's go back and check this out. First, congratulations. He's sending you congratulations, Chris Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Ronan. I appreciate it, my brother.
Clearly, he is a Eagles Fly fan, because I'm right there with you. Coltsville in the house. Okay.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
There you go.
I know the whole song, though. I do know the whole song.
I just know the first line. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory, right?
On the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Score a touchdown. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hit them low, hit them high. And we watch those Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. On the road to victory.
EAGLES.
Eagles.
Oh,
So,
that's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, but he also agreed with you. I also agree with you regarding the Ravens. They could have beat the Chiefs. It was another missed opportunity for the year. And he's also sending props out to Josh Allen. He's legit. I will agree with Ronan. You know, we should send Ronan some swag. What do you think about that, gentlemen?
Okay. Yeah, why not? I'm sure I can get the help address. I don't know how.
All right, and I'm going to toss this one to you. Ohio Gucci, Maine. Gentlemen, what about his question? Let me have another
Will
sip
Howard
of
to
my,
the Browns is the
sip of
question.
my water.
That's a possibility. I would be surprised if Will Howard was projected to be a quarterback taken on day one. The Browns still hold the number 2 pick, so the only way he'd be taken by the Browns on day one is if they said he's the best pick at number 2. But they can still select them on day 2 or 3 amid to late round draft pick, more of that developmental quarterback prospect, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, yeah, that's a possibility, somewhat in the sense of territorial draft pick, right? Localist, just playing 2 hours down the road. So yeah, Will Howard to the Browns would be not a bad possibility, and yeah, I think he would be a solid within his first year around with the Browns, if that were to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just speculating if that were to happen. If the football gods had that kind of humor and say, yeah, why not let the Buckeye go play for the Brownies? All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to finish out just, with the second half of the show, talking a little more about the Super Bowl and tying it in with the AFC North, because we are covering the AFC North, and we did find a way to tie it in somehow, some way. So, yeah, we'll be back. 1 minute.
I got to be better for him. I didn't feel like I put him in enough good situations this year, ball placement-wise. Even the one last night across the middle, I left it behind him, allowed 32 to make a play on it. And again, he can sit there and think about that play over and over, but I got to be better for him. And that's what it comes down to, and getting him, more involved. I know he's been battling throughout the entire year, bumps and bruises, and probably games that he shouldn't have played he was in, but he's a tough sucker, and I got nothing but, again, love for him, how he's approached this year. He's gonna be so much better next year. Let his body heal up, and I'm gonna be better for him. I promise you that.
Let go. Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Counting on my wins, so I can't play it safe. Try to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Who can do it better? I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Hey, look, they keep calling me, could you ride this beat? Look probably. Okay, it ain't no problem. See, I can mold this thing like pottery. Better than I'ma bet on myself. And before the top, and I don't need your help. We set the tempo.
I love that song.
Oh, shit. Oh, we're back. My fault. All right. So, as I said before the break, this is a AFC North related show. So, then someone have to find, bring this into it. So, the 2 Super Bowl participants, the Chiefs and Eagles, both played the entire AFC North this regular season. And guess what? They beat everybody. Both teams swept the AFC North 4-0. Now, Chiefs were a little bit more in, dramatic games. The Week 1 matchup versus Baltimore, that 7-point win, come down to Isaiah Likely. 2 inches of a toe being on the out of bounds line, which then ended the game. That next year was Cincinnati, came down to flags, and then that field goal. Eagles, on the other hand, seem to get a little better by each game. For people that don't remember, the Eagles were 2-2 going into their Week 5 bye week. And in Week 6, head coach Nick Sirianni comes out with this shaved head. And from there, it starts off a win streak. And they won like 9 in a row after beating the Browns. Of course, you just have to beat the Browns to go on a win streak. Who would have thought? But they just dominated their way with Baltimore and Cincinnati. So both these teams, I mean, did well. And the Chiefs, as I mentioned earlier, one score games was really the most consistent trend for them this season. Yet they still go out there with only 2 losses on the season. But while we've talked about those two teams, what does that say regarding the state of the division right now? If nobody could beat either of these teams yet, you were supposed to have one or more teams supposedly of Super Bowl caliber or at least of deep run caliber. What does that say about this division as a whole to you two?
Okay, my answer is going to be quick and dirty. It's I can't even answer that question because of the officiating that always seems to tilt towards Kansas City. When I think about them beating all of the AFC North teams, I don't remember dominance, right? I just remember more of, here we go with the officiating again. Like I got a real issue with this, and it's skewing my view of what the Kansas City Chiefs, just as a professional football team, can do for themselves, right? So for me, I put the Eagles in a completely different sort of classification, if you, when I think about they got all the gems for all of the AFC North teams. They deserve them. They beat all the AFC North teams. They are a team that is dominant. They can, like Jalen Hurts always says, a win is a win. And a win doesn't always happen the way that fans want to see it happen. But the Eagles have been very strategic in terms of their dominance, in terms of their victories. I was blowing up both of your phones on Sunday, and I was like, look, they got to score at least 38 points to beat the Commanders. Damn.
Yeah,
38, 7, that's 17. Like, come on. Like, so for me, that's my answer to your question. And I apologize that I'm really getting jacked up about it because I just don't like this crap with the officiating. And they better get it right in the Super Bowl. I'm telling you right that. Chris, go down there and make sure when you're down there covering the Super Bowl, you make sure you talk to those officials before the game, okay?
Okay, hold on a second. I'll like I say, I don't know if this is going to be enough money to basically. I got a couple of bucks here and whatnot. I don't know if I can spread my wealth around like that, but but anyway.
I got 5 on it. That might make enough. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a couple 20s.
I'm collecting money. I'm gonna do a GoFundMe page to bribe the officials in Super Bowl 59. That's what we'll do. But my answer to that question is this: the Eagles. I'm gonna put the Eagles above the Chiefs because there were some one-score games. I mean, between the Chiefs beat Baltimore and Cincinnati with one-score games. I think Pittsburgh was kind of down at the end of that year and all that, and they beat Cleveland. I gotta say the Eagles wins over the AFC North were legit in the sense that they and the Eagles were the one team that really beat Baltimore. Everybody else, the Ravens beat themselves, including the game against Kansas City, but with too many penalties and stuff like that. But the Eagles game was the only game in which, Saquon Barkley got the big run in the fourth quarter, and they both battled. The Ravens missed some field goals, blew some opportunities. But in the end, the Eagles got the better end, the physical matchup. Cooper DeJean's big, when he body slammed Derrick Henry was a message sender.
That was crazy.
And even I had to say, well, much as I love Baltimore, Philly was the only team that I think that truly out physical Baltimore. Everybody else, the Ravens kind of beat themselves more often than not, and that came.
I'm sorry, but you got to remember that right hook that Slade Jr. popped Patterson with in that Steelers game, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the fact that Slade stayed on the field,
that's right,
in that situation, was remarkable. But the thing about it, I give the Eagles credit, but I think Isaiah Likely gets that foot down. And I'm telling you, I know it's sour grapes. I get it. Baltimore had Baltimore gone to that championship game, I think they would have Derrick Henry them to death. And I think although this isn't a word of advice to the offensive coordinator. Good Lord, why am I having a senior moment?
Who, Monken?
Yeah, Todd Monken. Let the Ravens be themselves next year. Run quarterback. Those quarterback read options. Do some RPOs. Be
Chris,
yourselves.
We're gonna need to. After the season's over, we need to all go on a retreat and get you over this hump with the Ravens. Okay, like I hear it. It's sour grapes jazz. I'm just a believer of this. When you don't play clean football, okay, I think it is a byproduct of not being able to manage the pace, the cadence, the intensity of the games. You start overdoing things. You forget your fundamentals. So we can say, and I would agree, that the Ravens hurt themselves, but it's cause and effect, just like the Bills did, right? You got to be able, and I ain't no professional athlete. I'm just saying those teams that seem to excel, their players manage those moments. They stay true to the fundamentals. They stay true to what they know their strengths are, and they execute, right? So for me, when I think about, even if Baltimore played in that championship game, because again, the Bills got some favorable calls in that AFC divisional game, but we're not going to go back there. But I think the Ravens would have run up against the same officiating machinations, if you will, as the Bills did. That to me is the crux of the issue, that I don't know who in the NFL corporate offices needs to really sit down and have real conversations about why these things continue to happen. And so many different people on both sides of the screen, the analysts and fans, are saying the same thing. That's a problem. They're hurting their brand.
I would say so as well. But I will say this about that, is that I think that with the Ravens, with the way if the Ravens had moved, the way they moved the ball, and if they hadn't committed those turnovers, and let's say speculation wise they turned into touchdowns, I think the Ravens would have basically, and I think the Eagles are going to do this. You got to blow those guys out. You got to be relentless on them and have no shadow of a doubt, because I go back, talking, years ago, when Denise and I started, date, she's a big Raiders fan.
And you have to share with people who Denise is, because I don't
Denise
think they
is my
know.
wife. Okay. My wife is a big Raiders fan, and she kept harping on the tuck rule, the tuck rule. But see, here's the thing, and she's right. It was a bad call, but I'll quote the late Bum Phillips. I'll say that the Raiders had 59 other minutes to win the game. And same thing with the Ravens. Like, I can cry sour grapes all I want and say this would have happened, that. But you know what? You got to basically win. When you got the ball, you got to leave no doubt that you have to, stop guys on third down. You gotta score. You gotta keep in this situation, just like the Eagles. You don't leave it in the officials' hands. That's the worst thing you can do when you're playing this game. You don't leave it, remove all doubt. And if they want to call penalties against you, if you're up by 3 touchdowns, don't matter. We win the game, but blow them out. And I think Billy said, Billy Lib. Let me look up here. Billy Lib is basically asking, will the officials be an important factor in this game? I think so. I think so. If the Eagles allow it, they can't let the officials be a big factor in the game. They just got to play ball. If they get a bad call, keep playing. Just keep playing and score. That's what you got to do. That's how you beat the officials.
Boom. Well, with that being said, did we already answer the question below? Or I know I didn't really introduce it. I know you guys kind of.
Is that Billy Lib? Is that how you pronounce that?
That is, yes. Billy Lib did come in. Thank you, Billy Lib.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Where you been the rest of the season? Come on back and see us for our Super Bowl special.
So, Billy Lib, question: will the officials be an important factor in the Super Bowl? Sapphire, I feel like you were already kind of answering this earlier, so that's I was kind of like, did we already answer this? But please proceed with any other new thoughts or answer within this, and I'll even start off in saying that it could be yes. I think it will be an important factor in the Super Bowl. However, I feel that I'm in the minority when I say I really don't care about the officials. I know everybody, like everybody's not gonna be satisfied. Let alone please. Every single year, there's something about the referees missing this call, missing that. I am in the minority with this thought process, this mindset that you have to play the game the right way so that you don't play the game into the ref's hands. You do everything in your power to keep from the referees deciding your fate because it's always a coin flip. More times than not, they will decide against your fate. You will lose. So, what I suggest for both teams is to play their game. No need to overthink it. Because if you overthink it, like we've been saying, we've been a broken record this season on the spot. If you
Right.
overthink, a number of coordinators, number of coaches will go into a situation sometimes versus a team that's better than them, a game that they just want to win so badly, and they'll tend to overthink it instead of just sticking to their truth, sticking to what got them there in the first place. So you overthinking, they can lead to timely mistakes, and those timely mistakes can lead to a deficit. And a deficit could lead to you working your way back and depending on the refs to bail you out, to help you out in some sense. Now you're looking at calls. Now you're hoping for flags to be made that more times than not are never made. Now you're looking for certain calls to be made that you wouldn't even care about, months prior, weeks prior. But now you're hoping for that just to help you within this game. So to prevent any of that from happening, just play dang ball. Play your best football. Play your brand of football.
Right.
What got you there? 100%. Officials are not. I don't care if it's robots officiating the game. Play your game so that you don't let them decide your fate.
That's a great comment you made. I think it shouldn't be glossed over. I mean, we see AI taking over the world in everything. You talk about robots. There's a real chance. I mean, look at tennis. Look how they have the mechanism set up where when the ball hits the line, there's some kind of technology that's used to trigger the chair umpire to say ball out or in or whatever. I don't think that we are too far away from the NFL implementing technology to help with these calls, right? Because it's hurting. I'm telling you, it's hurting the brand. When you look at the way that, especially when it comes to teams that have played Kansas City, how their defenses, you can actually see them pull off of their attack. When Mahomes scrambles, you could see them physically like going through a process of if I hit him, what are the consequences, what situation we're, that's hurting the brand of football. Okay. Right. So I submit to you again, I don't think we're far away from seeing AI implemented into the officiating of the game.
And I was going to say, to pick up on that, Sapphire, I was going to say, what about the pass interference calls? And I know I'll bring this up again because it did lead to a touchdown. The pass interference call last week against the Ravens where the receiver, pulled the defensive back down to the ground. That was one of the worst, and that's one of the worst ones I've seen. The CFL, they do have a replay for pass interference. They're one of the few leagues, I think, that they're a pro league that has an instant replay for pass interference. And that in that situation, that was one of the worst calls of the year because I think in that situation, and that might have helped, like I said, you stick to it. You might have helped Buffalo to a field goal rather than getting that extra touchdown. Who knows the outcome of the game is, it might have determined the outcome of the game. But the thing about it, there were some calls, and then there was a sequence last week also when both Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts were tackled out of bounds. No calls in those games. They never get especially mobile black quarterbacks never get those calls. Never get those calls in the game. And that's my whole thing with the officiating.
I mean, that's a great point. Because I do remember that phantom pass interference call, and I thought the Ravens got robbed. And it's curious that we have this observation that African American quarterbacks are not getting that call, and it just dawned on me when I think about the officiating crews, especially as you move forward in the playoffs, the divisional round, and the Super Bowl. Do we have any idea of the diaspora, the racial diaspora of those referees?
I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
I think most of those refs have been black. I mean, there's some mixed crews in there, and all that. But I just think it's curious. I don't know if it's Michael Jordan rules and all that, or like I said, I saw in the Buffalo game Lamar Jackson being wrestled to the ground. I think it was a Rams game or either the Rams game or the Green Bay game where I saw Hurts getting wrestled to the ground out of bounds, and no one called, and no one made the call. And I hate to see that. I hate to bring up the racial aspect of it, but it's something that I can't help but know. Except for Patrick Mahomes, he gets those calls. If you breathe on Patrick Mahomes, they pull out the flag. They'll pull out the flag. So, it is something to talk about. I don't know if it's racial, but it could be Jordan-esque as well, because Michael Jordan used to get certain calls that Charles Barkley and a lot of those guys never got.
No, but I guess I even want to go deeper than just black. I mean, we've got Spanish players, we've got Polynesian players, we have Asian players. Like, It's a curious question that you posed.
Right.
It is, and definitely something we will put a pin in right quick as we go on to the very next question. Username Mordoman81. Beautiful cover picture right there.
I love that.
That is Kendrick Lamar's album "To Pimp a Butterfly." It's one of the best albums ever created. Aside from that, the question: how important will both quarterbacks' mobility be? So the mobility of the quarterbacks, how important will that be? Well, that will be very important because, within the game of football, the use of mobility from these quarterbacks or use of their legs has been beneficial, and it's led to more good things than not. That helps extend plays, helps create different routes, and helps receivers get even more open. It keeps the opposing defense on their toes right now. So I think that will be very important. I do find it interesting, though, because during the regular season, Jalen Hurts, his average time to throw per next gen stats was at around 3.13, and he was among the highest within the longest average time to throw. Meaning that his time in the pocket was extended because of his mobility, because he was able to wait a bit extra or extend the play until he found an open target. Patrick Mahomes has been known for his mobility. Mahomes has always been known. I've always put Mahomes in that same category as the quarterbacks that when you watch them, you feel like you feel like their style of play is similar to backyard football. They're just out there just running, just making things happen on the fly. However, his average time to throw was within the middle pack this season during the regular season at around 2.81. So Kansas City does still have that offense that still derives from the West Coast offense, the shorter passes, shorter routes. But I think that the mobility would definitely play an important factor within this game because the one factor that I think is going to be important in this game, which ties into that question, is average time of possession. Whoever is taking their time the longest in this game will win. I think that is what it will come down to. It won't come down to fourth down aggressiveness. It won't come down to field goals or the range of that. It's going to come down to average time of possession because Philadelphia led the entire league in average time of possession or around it within the top 5 rankings. Kansas City was not far off as well. So if Philadelphia is amongst the best within taking their time with the ball, Kansas City has that within their game plan, and they're looking to take that away because the longer you hold on to the ball, the longer the opposing offense is on the sideline and they're cold. They're looking to get warm, and that only can play into your benefit, into their disadvantage. So, yes, mobility will be important. And let me just say as well that because I do find it funny, like Sapphire, you were talking earlier about the new age black quarterback. And Chris, I know you spoke about this as well too. Like Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, is this kind of quarterback that both also having the important factor of mobility. That is the quarterback of the future, right? Or at least of this age. If you don't have that kind of, if you don't have that prototype quarterback on your team, you're already behind the race, right?
Right. I would definitely agree with that. Because that's what I mean. To me, I think back to Randall Cunningham, Michael Vick,
Oh
and
yeah.
all these other guys who basically moved around and whatnot. And to tell you the truth, I'll even go back even further. Roger Staubach did a lot of that too. He didn't score in the way that these guys did, but Roger Staubach, and I think Hurts takes that mindset, win the game. All these old adages that the league used to have as we evolved over time. Well, you got to stay in the pocket. You got to scramble around. You can't scramble. And, between Fran Tarkenton, Roger Staubach, Randall Cunningham, Michael Vick, all those guys have laid waste to the idea, mainly because you got defensive linemen who can run 4.3 40s, okay? You imagine a 300-pound guy coming after you, just on GP. Like I could run when I was a kid, I could run away from big guys because I was fast. Can you imagine if some big guy who was a bully could run a 4.3 or 4.4 40 and catch? Actually, I can, because I used to like to talk trash from my way, saying, "Man, you big punk, because you couldn't catch me." Now I have to think twice about that. But a lot of these big guys can run, and because these big guys can run, and what linebackers, could run, and I saw, like I said, linebackers who got 4 or 5 speed, they're athletic. They're athletic and everything. And because they're athletic, they can run. So you need to run the ball. You need to be a quarterback. That's why Hurts and Lamar Jackson, they can run around. And if you have a running back that's as good as you're cooking with gas. You cooking with you cooking your French fries and grease and everything else and whatnot. You are cooking with gas in that situation, and you got to play. But the running game is still significant. I don't know where these guys get this little passing league. You got to figure out. You got to keep teams off balance. Nobody and 2 teams around the league have figured that out. The Eagles and the Ravens, and to a certain extent, the Chiefs and the Bills. You got to have a good mobile quarterback. And if you have a mobile quarterback, you can create the actual run from these situations.
Right on, right on. I just feel like this. My answer, Mortal, is yes. Absolutely, mobility will be important. And then I go back to what I think I see with the Eagles. They have multiple threats in the backfield. They have multiple threats from the wide receiver position. They have multiple threats from the tight end position. And they have a threat in Jalen Hurts. When he does that quarterback draw, listen, there's only so many different people, so many different players on defense. It just seems to me that, especially with Hurts's mobility, right, that gives the Eagles the offensive advantage if they play a clean game.
Well said. All right. Well, we are coming towards the tail end of the show, and we are going to honor Chris again for those that tuned in after we did that. So we are going to do it again. But are there any final thoughts for now on this game, this matchup, before we put a pin in it until next week?
Chris, I want to give you the floor, and please share again. You will be covering the Super Bowl. Talk about that experience and what your expectations are for the game.
Well, it's always fun to cover the games and all that. And to see there's an electricity at the Super Bowl. And at the last one that I went to, when the Eagles, lost to Kansas City, I think that this won't be so new to the Eagles. And I do think that the Eagles are on a mission because they've been awaiting to get back here for the last couple of years. Last time Hurts played in that game, he accounted for 370 yards. without a dominating running back, because he had Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. This time he has a stud in Saquon Barkley. And I think Barkley is going to carry them to victory, and he's going to make that offense, even if Hurts doesn't put up numbers, he's going to be in a situation where he's going to find his spots. And I think that they're going to be so worried about Barkley that, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to have fun in that secondary, as will Dallas Goedert.
Beautiful.
That's so fascinating. I actually agree with everything you said, and this. They're playing indoors, gentlemen, right?
Yep.
Another advantage for the Eagles. I can't imagine what Saquon is going to do indoors.
Oh, yeah. He is excited, indeed. 100%.
And I'll just close my shtick by saying, fly, Eagles, fly, baby. Fly, Eagles, fly. Come on, Ronan. Let's bring home the Super Bowl trophy. Meet you down on Broad Street.
You don't want me to sing the song no more because I can't sing. Sorry. No, I know. I like I said, that's why I was in a choir, because everybody else can drown out my bad voice. So
that's amazing.
And also, I want to say we have the hyperlink to the Pen and Pencil Club where you can go and vote for Chris Murray. He's been nominated for Sports Writer of the Year. We will also be putting.
Yes. And
you.
Indeed, 100%. Yeah. For those that did miss it earlier in the show, Chris Murray, as you can see at the bottom, I'm just going to read it off. Nominated as Sports Writer of the Year by the Pen and Pencil Club in Philadelphia. So please go and vote, because if you don't, I will know who all didn't vote, and I will be doing something not very, very good. I'm just kidding. Please don't take that seriously. I really don't. But you get the point. Vote for the Mr. Marvelous himself, Chris Murray. We appreciate you. We love you. We're proud of you, man. You deserve this so much. We're voting for you. I'm probably going to create some more accounts to go vote for you. We're going to get these votes in, man. You deserve it, man. We love you and appreciate you, OG. Salute, man. Salute.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be nominated, though. Win or lose, I'm happy.
Mr. Marvelous himself, man. Mr. Marvelous Chris Murray, the Renaissance man. So, along with Mr. Marvelous and the lovely Sapphire, and Irie, with it being on tonight. Thank you all again for tuning in to another edition of the Fear North podcast. We appreciate you all tuning in even after no AFC North teams are alive in the playoffs. And we'll be here again next Tuesday on time. So thank you all again. Look forward to the tweets.
Thank you, Mortal Man, B81, Billy Lib, Ronan, Ohio Gucci Mane, the boss, Willie Epstein Jr. I love you, man.
Yes. And lastly, you all can follow us on all socials at Fear the North 4, at Fear the North 4. The number 4, just put that down, not spell out like open you up, but the number 4. All right, simple, bada bing, bada boom, you get the point. All right, FTN, we're out. Peace.
Peace out. Excellent.